Welcome to the One Gang Worldwide podcast, your ultimate ride into the world of motorcycles. Visit cyclesworldwide.com where we offer a completely free marketplace for everything motorcycles. Join our One Gang community where you can connect, share info, and swap stories with riders from all over the world. Join for free at cyclesworldwide.com and be a part of the One Gang community right now.
Join us as we jump into an inspiring episode featuring Thalassa van Beek, founder of Motorcycle Marketing. Thalassa opens up about her early life, her initial love for horses, and how a chance encounter at a motorcycle trade show ignited her passion for motorcycles. Follow her journey from modeling and hospitality to becoming a digital nomad and ultimately establishing her niche marketing agency. So tune in for an excellent life story of resilience and passion with Thalassa.
I think a lot of the things that I do come back to that, like being out there on my motorbike, and especially in the mountains with this enormous views, makes me truly happy.
One Gang Worldwide podcast, brought to you by Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping. Since 1978, Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping has been a trusted name in transporting motorcycles safely across the country. With custom designed pallets and air ride trailers, your bike is secure and protected every step of the way. By choosing Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping, you're supporting a dedicated small business that prioritizes quality and customer satisfaction. Ship with a peace of mind, knowing your motorcycle is in expert hands. Visit keyboardmotorcycleshipping.com for more information. Now, let's dive into today's episode.
Hey, One Gang, today we've got Thalassa van Beek, founder of Motorcycle Marketing. We are very excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right, Thalassa, thanks for coming on the show and taking the time. Like we do all shows, let's start from the beginning. Where'd you originally grow up? What kind of kid were you? And what were some of your early interests and dreams?
Wow. Okay. Well, I was born 37 years ago. I was born in yeah. I was born in The Hague in the Netherlands, and yeah, I grew up there. I lived in The Hague until I was 18. Don't have any brothers or sisters, so I was usually, pretty good with keeping myself busy. Of course, I had friends as well, but I was also good just playing on my own. When I was really young, I would play with, I don't know, like little animals and little horse figures and things like that, or I would play outside. I grew up in the city, but a pretty calm neighborhood. So I would be, like playing with the neighborhood kids in the streets. And yeah, I went to high school there. And then when I was 18, well, no, I mean, this is a motorcycle podcast, so I should.
Yeah, we'll get into all that after.
Skip that.
Give us a little bit about what were some of your early interests at a young age before motorcycles came in?
I would say it was mostly horses. I got into horses when I was 10 years old, I want to say. Yeah, 10 years old. Was lucky enough to get my own pony from the age of 13.
Nice.
Wow.
So yeah, she was my first big love. Yeah, that was the thing that took up most of my time. And I also started working, during weekends and evenings from when I was probably 15 years old, because, my parents paid for the pony, but then I still had to contribute in some ways, of course.
Right. What were you doing for your first job?
I was working in like catering, hospitality, things like that. So
cool.
Sometimes it was a wedding, sometimes it was in a theater, just helping out if they needed extra hands. So quite diverse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I spent most of my time, I guess.
That's cool. Was there a pivotal moment that kind of sparked your interest in motorcycles or adventure?
There was for motorcycles. So my after school work, like it started with catering and hospitality, but then I also got into like hostess work and modeling and like giving out flyers at events, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And when I was 17, I was asked to work as a hostess at it's called the Motor Beurs. It's like the biggest motorcycle fair trade show in the Netherlands.
Cool.
And I don't even remember which company I was working for, but I do remember that it was next to the Yamaha stand. And so I was there. It was a 4-day event, and I was there. And in the stand next to us, I saw a Yamaha R6.
Right.
And at that time, I had no idea about motorbikes. So I mean, I learned then and there that was an R6. And I figured I need to get my motorcycle license because I want that bike. That's when it all started.
Love it first sight.
So yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, I started working even more and started saving money. And then by the time I was 19, I had my motorcycle license. But at the time in the Netherlands, you couldn't ride an R6 yet for the first 2 years. So I had to wait. And then the day I was allowed to ride it, I had my R6.
And that's because you have to go through CC levels, right? You have to start at a certain CC when you first get your license, then get experience to move up, keep moving up, right?
Yeah, so I don't know the exact rules now, but back then the limit was 25 kilowatts. So I could ride like a less powerful bike for 2 years, and then
What's up, One Gang? I used to think that if I spent big money on riding gear with a logo on the back, I was getting top quality. I gave Leather Up a shot. I wasn't sure at first, could I really get quality gear without spending a fortune? But after putting tens of thousands of miles on their jackets and vests, I had my answer. No busted zippers, no loose stitching, just solid, well-made gear that lasts. Leather Up carries trusted brands like Milwaukee Leather, Hot Leathers, and more, with gear for every rider and every budget. Plus, their customer service actually cares and picks up the phone, something rare these days. So do yourself a favor, check out leatherup.com. Whether you need jackets, vests, chaps, boots, helmets, or luggage, they've got you covered. And because you're part of the One Gang Worldwide family, use code CW20 at checkout for 20% off your entire order. Stop overpaying, gear up with Leather Up, and see the difference yourself.
Got it. You had an early career in modeling. Obviously, you touched on the hospitality part. What led you into that world, and what would those years in the modeling and hospitality teach you about people, image, business, things like that you kind of take into your life now?
That's a very interesting question. I think for sure with hospitality, and I think anyone who's ever worked in hospitality can agree with that. Like, you get so many different types of people, and you kind of have to be polite to everyone while not letting them walk over you, because you have those people who are going to try and do that, especially as a teenage girl, what I was at the time. So yeah, just being able to be friendly to a whole range of people. Also because, especially since I was working so many different types of events and at so many different locations, the type of people would also differ widely, right? So, one day it could be, I don't know, like some event for business people who think they are the best people in the world. And another time it's, it's something the complete opposite. Mm-hmm. And I think I don't want to say it's something I learned. I think that's kind of within me, but I think I've always been pretty good at dealing with both, with the full range of people. At least up to a certain level, I can stay polite and friendly to everyone. What I really learned from it, and also from the modeling, because especially the modeling I did as a freelancer. So I actually, already at the age of like 16 years old, I went out and found my own kind of work. Like, I went to different agencies. Back in the days, maybe I was a little bit older, but I started to find modeling gigs online.
Nice.
And yeah, I had to deal with clients already at that age. And now, being self-employed, having my own company, it's kind of the same, of course. Oh, yeah, definitely. I think that's what I learned most from it.
Thalassa, did you have any from that early part of your life with the model and the hospitality side? Did you have some highlights that kind of pointed you in the right direction, but in addition to some downfalls where you said, you know what, I don't think I want to continue with this thing. I think I need to kind of move on to something different.
Yeah, I think so. So for a while, I did a little bit of, let's say, like the real modeling, so runways, photo shoots, things like that. And I actually, just before my final exams of high school, so I was 17, 18 at the time, 18. I had a chance to go to Milan, which is one of the most important cities in modeling, in fashion, of
Sure.
course.
Yep.
So I went there and I went to different agencies to see if any one of them wanted to sign me. And so I was there for a few days, then went back to do my final exams, and then my agency in the Netherlands called me like, hey, one of the agencies in Milan wants to sign you, wants to give you a contract. So I would have to actually go and live in Milan for a while. And I remember thinking like, okay, do I want to go to Milan and be part of this fashion world, of this pretty superficial
Right.
life with probably a lot of people doing drugs? I don't do drugs, never done it, don't want anything
Good
to
for
do with
you.
it.
on you.
Like that life. Or do I want to go to university, live in a student house and like in some kind of dirty room and that life, right? And yeah, I decided not to go to Milan. So that was, I think, one moment where I really realized like that's not what I want.
Mhm.
And then later on, because the modeling and the hostess work actually led me to work as an umbrella girl during the World Superbikes and some other races as well.
Cool.
I've done a few Formula One races and
Ben did that for a
well,
few years also.
Yeah, no, I was a lotion boy, a cabana
He
boy.
was a lotion boy.
That's sweet to be able to watch the race and get
Yeah, for
paid to do
sure.
it.
I mean, so when I worked at that first motorcycle event where I saw the R6, I got in contact with people from Yamaha. They invited me to the MotoGP in their VIP
Sweet.
lounge. And at that time, I thought one day I want to be part of all this, right?
Mhm.
So then several years later, I was actually on the grid of, well, I've never been on the MotoGP grid. Moto2 grid, yes. MotoGP grid, no. But World Superbikes grid, yes. I was there.
That's cool.
I think 2 seasons, every European race. And so that was my way of being part of it, right? So that was very exciting. And I immensely enjoyed that. I got to know so many people, so many contacts, which obviously still helps me in my work till this day. But at the same time, if you ask me like, were there some moments that kind of like made you go another way? So I did this during and after my studies for a while. So I did it full time for a little bit, the races. But then after a couple of years, like, I hate to say it, but men can be really stupid sometimes. And
No.
Not these two guys, but the rest of them for sure.
Yeah,
some of
definitely
the
these two
others,
guys.
right? And for a while it was fine because I can be like whatever, as long they can say whatever, like as long as they're not touching me, of course.
Right.
But
Right.
if they're like stupid comments or whatnot, like whatever, I don't care. But after a few years, obviously, also I got older and I was like, you know what, it's been enough. I need to go. I need to go start and use my brain again. And also, if I stay here much longer, seeing this side of certain men, I'm not gonna like men anymore.
Right.
So,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But I mean, I don't want to. It was really, really fun for some years, but at some point you just get too old for it.
We
and
had
it's-
a female racer on also, and she said that a very similar thing. She said that part of the thing was the way she was treated by other men that kind of turned her off a little bit, but she kind of just stood with it because she was racing. I don't think she's doing too much of it. She's doing more marketing and advertising for herself now in that field. But I get what you're saying. It's such a, especially in Europe, it's such a male-dominated world when it comes to that side. That we get you.
Yeah, and I have to say, it was rarely the people who actually worked at the races or who worked at the racetracks. Like there, I felt like I had to prove myself a little bit, because usually they assume that, the girls that work there as an umbrella girl, they don't understand and they don't like motorbikes and they probably don't have a brain. But, I was there every race, so pretty soon they caught on that, yes, I
Right.
do like motorbikes. Actually, I ride a motorbike and I do have a brain, so that's fine. It was more the guests, the people that are there just for the weekend, so once in a lifetime experience to be in the pedal, and they want to take pictures with you, and
But
again, it was really,
gotcha.
it was really fun for some years, but at some point it was
Time
like,
to
okay.
move. Time to move up, forge ahead. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
My next question was, at what point did you begin feeling the urge to pivot away from that lifestyle? And it sounds like it was a culmination of things. So what was going through your mind emotionally and professionally at the time of transitioning out of that and getting into your passion?
Getting into my passion, I'm not sure I would phrase it that way, because it was all motorbikes, right? So it was
Right.
always my passion. And for a while, like I said, I really enjoyed it. So being part of that whole circus almost, because it's like a traveling circus now. Like every other weekend, you're with the same people in a different location. And I saw those people more than I saw my own family at some point.
Right.
Wow.
So it definitely was my passion for a while. And then, it just shifted into something else with motorbikes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, but yeah, how I was feeling about that, or how I was thinking about that, I remember one specific moment where it was actually a Formula One race, and we were like a group of us. We were walking, I don't know, from the office to the grid or something like that. And there was this group of men, and they were going like,
Catcalling. Yeah.
and I looked at it and I was like, dude, really?
I know, man.
It was just, I don't know. That was like, and I've heard and I've seen worse, but it was that moment where I was like,
Right. That was like, this is
Enough.
enough is enough.
I'm too old. Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Some dudes are like, you get a couple of beers in them and they forget what the hell, society and reality is. Let me ask you this. You told us about how you fell in love with the motorcycles. Then you talked about a little bit about that transition where it hit you, where you were just like, you know what, I'm going on to something else. How did you form this plan now to, when you transitioned out of the modeling and out of the hospitality world, you decided that you were going to start kind of doing something with the passion of motorcycles. Take us into that process. What made you transition, and what was your first initial plan? Where were you going with this?
Right. So actually the motorcycle marketing as an agency is only, the agency is only 3 years old. So there's still a bit of time between that. So after the races, I don't remember the exact timeline, but around the time that I was kind of done with the races, I came across this job opening at a communications agency, where their biggest client was Yamamoto Europe. And
Nice.
we have Yamamoto Europe and Yamaha Racing.
Perfect.
So, I looked up the owners of the agency on LinkedIn, and we had 30 people in common. And so I don't
Sweet.
remember exactly, but basically my cover letter was like, well, this is what I've been doing. So this was what I studied, because obviously that is relevant.
Right.
But after that, this is what I've done so far. if you want references, well, call this person, that person. I see you know that person knows you, that person also knows me.
That's nice.
Yeah, so it was, it was a pretty easy. For me, it was easy to apply, and I think for them it was pretty easy to decide to hire me. So I worked at the office for a while. Again, also going to the races, but obviously now not holding an umbrella.
What are you doing at this point in time? What exactly was your job?
So it was a marketing and communications agency. So my job included anything from Yamaha Racing had like a digital magazine. So I was kind of managing that, like finding the topics. I think it was monthly or quarterly. I don't remember exactly, but like finding the topics, making, contact the copywriters for it, talk with the graphic designer, and just making sure that came online. And also need to make sure that I'm not mixing up different clients. But yeah, some social media work. But for example, also for a couple of MotoGP races, they had this competition where people could win VIP tickets. And then at the racetrack, I would basically guide the winners of those tickets. We would do a tour through the garages to the pit box, meet and greets, things like that. And yeah, I would just there guide them. Everything would be filmed so that we have some contact after. So I would also be in touch with the camera people and the editors. And
did you love being out there? Did you love being out in the sea of motorcycles and all this stuff?
Of course.
Yeah. Look at a smile.
Course.
How could you not? That's cool. Yeah.
I mean, this was the time of Valentino Rossi and Lorenzo riding for Yamaha. So, I mean, I don't know, but
did you get a chance to meet him?
I'm like, we didn't talk for hours, but yeah, I met them. And yeah, I mean, for me, I think it was one of the most exciting times to be part of the Yamaha crew, right? Like it was so good. It was such an amazing time. So
you know what's crazy? We've had a lot of people from Europe and from all over the world who have been some form of part of either MotoGP or Moto2 or Moto3, whatever it's been, right? And we always come across questions like, who would you like to, and that will be part of something that you do towards the end of the podcast when we do the speed round. But we ask them like, who would you like to have dinner with, right? Past or present.
Yes.
And usually 9.9 out of 10 will say Valentino Rossi.
Oh, really?
I mean, he is like a god to most people in regards to, he's a great guy, first of all. And I mean, the things he's been able to accomplish. So it's amazing to us how many people truly adore this person outside of the US. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, kind of a sidestep, but isn't it interesting to think about? I think for us, for you guys, like Valentino Rossi is such a name out there, right?
Huge.
Mm-hmm.
But the kids that are 10 years old now and now starting to watch the races and now growing up with it, like they know who he is, but like they'll never see him actually race.
I
like
know.
it's the end of an era. And I'm not a Rossi fan, but it is the end of an era.
It is. And that's how it was when like all these great athletes and like now Messi's coming to the end of his career, but he's still phenomenal. So it's just like it's hard to watch these, and then you hope that the next generation coming in for the guys like Valentino Rossi still uphold being humble and kind and giving back, and you know what I mean, like a lot of these people come in entitled, so I think that's the biggest difference in sports these days is the past and the present, where these guys are coming in already entitled and held on this pedestal for some reason. And I don't know. I feel that the sports world is different a little bit than in the past, the way the athletes kind of live their life, conduct themselves. It's very.
Hey guys, the show will be back in 1 minute right after a word from our sponsor.
Hey, One Gang, tired of feeling like your butt's taking more of a beating than your bike on those long rides? Introducing Butt Buffer,
the ultimate solution to saddle soreness. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. These cushions are made from medical grade viscoelastic polymer, scientifically crafted to eliminate pressure points and keep your circulation flowing. No more numb nuts or numb butts. And here's the best part: butt buffer cushions are made right here in the US for the last 30 years. From Harleys to Hondas, we've got a cushion to fit your ride perfectly. Plus, with styles ranging from sleek pebble polymer to luxurious sheepskin, there's a butt buffer for every rider's style. Get your butt buffer today at buttbuffer.com. That's buttbuffer.com. Your butt will thank you, and you'll ride longer and happier. We've got your butt covered.
Yeah. So you're now known as a digital nomad and rider. When did that part of your life begin?
Okay, so I worked at the agency for a little bit, but then I decided to leave, basically. And first I was applying to, any type of marketing role near where I lived, but they're all at like boring IT companies, and it probably, I think I probably sent out like 20 or 30 applications. I didn't even get invited for one single interview, like nothing. Wow. So it was probably pretty clear in my application letters and in my cover letters that I wasn't that excited, because let's be honest, until that point, I was pretty spoiled with the type of jobs that I had, right?
Yeah.
Like they were always, I worked hard, but they were always fun jobs. So
can't see
I
you going to an IT company after.
Neither could I, apparently. But that's kind of what you do when you start applying for jobs. But yeah, I gave up pretty quickly and decided I'm just gonna work as a freelancer. And this was, let me think, this was the end of this year, 10 years ago. So really way before COVID and way before working remotely was like a usual thing. Yeah. But I just figured, well, if I do social media marketing, I don't really need to be where my clients are. I never heard of the term remote work, but I just figured that makes sense.
Right.
So I started working as a freelancer for any type of company, industry, not necessarily motorbike related. I figured I just need to pay the bills. So, I'll work with, any client that I get along with and that isn't, and kind of a product that I can't stand behind, that I can't get behind. Like if it's not that, then good. So I did that, and I did that until... Okay, so you're asking about digital nomad and like being able to work remote. So that's been 10 years. And yeah, then I started the agency 3.5 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. And then getting into the digital nomad life, especially knowing that it wasn't as common 10 years ago. You mentioned it with COVID. It's kind of a much bigger thing, and van life is even on stickers everywhere, So when you made that transition, were you kind of reinventing yourself, or did you have a template or somebody who was an inspiration to help you get into that life, or was it all self-directed and self-led?
At the time, I didn't know anyone else who did it, not in real life nor online. So I just kind of did what made sense to me. But then pretty quickly, to be fair, like I always had a home base. Like I was never fully 100% digital nomad, right? I was never fully traveling. Always had a home. Yeah, always had a home base. But back then, I did at some point start to find like this little online community of digital nomads and people who are really into like co-working and co-living. So what I started doing is I would just take, let's say a 1 month or a 2 month trip to whatever country and live there in a co-working / co-living place. And then I would come back home. Yeah.
That's cool.
And so that was at the time at least, it was a pretty relatively small community as well. So you got to know a lot of people pretty quickly, and you would, get to know each other online, and then sooner or later you would run into each other at a co-living place.
That's cool.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Now, we're going to touch a little bit on your own company, Motorcycle Marketing. Take us into how and why you started this company.
Right. So I was freelancing for 7 years, more or less. And obviously freelancing, doing it on my own. And like I said, all sorts of industries. So, the people, my clients, they were all nice people, but there weren't it wasn't industries that I was super excited about. Until at some point, I got to work with the Yamaha Petronas Moto GP team.
Nice.
In their last year. So again, the year with Rossi, that he was riding for them.
He
so then
he seems to follow your journey a little
he
bit.
follows me, man. He's
I
like
know,
a
man.
like stalker. It's crazy.
Does he pay you? Is there royalty funds here? What's going on, Ross?
No,
Pay
I
up,
wish,
buddy.
No, but yeah, so it took quite a few years, but then it was kind of a coincidence that I did get this motorbike related client again. So I did that for a season. And then it was two things. Well, let's say three things. One was I just missed being around motorbikes or like working in this industry. It was also a little bit that, now I did have clients that were these boring IT companies, and, I would have meetings. Sometimes I would take my motorbike and go camping and bring my laptop with me. So I would still be working, but from a campsite, if I had a video call, my tent and my motorbike were in the background. And some of these clients didn't really appreciate that. So I always had to find like a neutral space with like a white background. And I actually got in the situation where I was in Turkey, and there was this massive earthquake right where I was.
Wow.
And like, I think an hour after the earthquake, I had a meeting with a client, like a team meeting. And obviously I couldn't join that because everything was chaos, right? And they didn't know. Well, one of the other girls on the team knew I was traveling, but the manager didn't know. And so I just felt like this is just a shitty situation. Like I want to be able to be open about where I am, because I know I'm responsible. I know that even if I'm traveling, I'm working. So I want clients who trust in that, right?
Right, of course.
So so that was one of the things. And then the other thing was that I kind of started to miss working with other people, like building towards something together with other people. Like it was fun on my own, but I wanted to scale up, to build bigger things with more people. So my clients were asking for more and more services that I could do, but I wasn't an expert in, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And then I think also for a long time, I always said like, oh, I don't want a team. I don't want to manage people, because mostly I don't want to be responsible for someone else's output. I'm a bit of a control freak that way. It just seemed like too much of a challenge. But now I kind of reached the point where I was like, I'm ready for a new challenge. Like I want to learn something new. So all of that together, I figured, okay, I'm going to start an agency and we're just going to do motorbike clients.
Nice.
So at the very least, that when they see that tent and the motorbike in the background, they're going to be excited.
Okay. They're going to be happy that they're working with you, because you know what the hell that's so important. You're absolutely right. That's an important niche that you got there, because anybody who rides understands. Anybody who doesn't ride doesn't understand. So a lot easier to communicate with people who do understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you built a niche agency from scratch in a male-dominated space. Did you feel like you had to earn respect to carve out your space in the area?
To be honest, by the time that I started the agency, not anymore. I've been through that phase, because also like during that whole modeling and catering, hospitality, university time, for a while I also worked at a motorcycle dealerships on Saturdays.
Okay.
So I went through that phase there where I had to sometimes prove myself, not so much to the team of the shop, but to customers who came in.
Mhm.
And then again in the races, I had to prove myself. But I think by the time that I started the agency, I didn't feel that need anymore. Like people knew me already, or if they didn't know me, at least again they would see on LinkedIn that we had a lot of people in common.
Right.
Mhm.
So yeah.
That's cool. So take us into those early days of the agency. Did you have moments where you were questioning, did I do the right thing? And, moments of potential regret or worry? And then how did you get past those?
Yeah. To be honest, like it's been such a good decision
Nice.
because like you guys just said, we get it, right? So
We get
every
it, yeah.
single client that approaches me is like, well, yeah, we've worked with this marketing agency, but they don't get it. Or yeah, we hired this person, but they don't write and they don't get it. Well, they automatically come to us, right? And
Yeah.
we just have to say, look, we know marketing and we ride motorbikes. Well, that's all they need to know because what more do you need,
That's
right?
Mhm.
So in that sense, I'll admit, like beforehand, I was pretty scared because it does feel like saying no to 99% of the work out there, right? You say we're just doing motorbikes, you're saying no to a lot of things.
Right. Walking away
So
from a lot of money. Yep.
beforehand, it did feel very risky. But now I realize, like, no, I'm not saying no to everything else. I'm saying yes to this. And our agency is one of the few, or maybe the only one, because obviously there's automotive marketing agencies out there. But I've yet to see like a fully focused motorbikes only kind of
Killer,
agency.
man. That's cool.
So
That's really cool.
yeah, it's been good. I mean, yeah, if you own like some kind of motorcycle brand that you can choose between 1,000 marketing agencies or one motorcycle marketing agency,
Yeah.
it's an easy choice.
And we're
That's
doing the same.
fantastic.
We're doing something very similar with Cycles Worldwide, where we're building online global platform for everything motorcycles. So that way people aren't jumping around. They can go to one place to get everything that they need that's motorcycle related. So that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of pressure today constantly to be online and on brand. How do you balance that authenticity with the demands of social media, especially as someone who lives the life they promote?
Yeah, that is a good question. Let me think. Before I started the agency, when I was still freelancing for all sorts of companies, I started my own Instagram account specifically for the motorbikes or for my motorbike adventures or trips or whatever you want to call it. And it was growing quite well. But I absolutely realize now that I have the agency and it's, being online all day, every day. To be honest, I can't really be bothered anymore to keep up with my own personal social media account. So that's kind of stagnating, I guess. And every time like, oh, I really want to do something with it because it is a very fun way to get in contact with other bikers around the world. It is really fun, but yeah, now when I'm finally out with the bike after working all week, I don't want to stop and
Right.
take
Dude,
photos.
yeah, pictures and all this shit. You just want to enjoy and shut it down from everything. I know.
Yeah.
Social media is a tough thing, man. How these influencers consistently do this stuff. I get it, man, because you reach a certain level plateau, you're making money off this stuff. So this is a lifestyle for them. But I'll tell you, it's a tough thing to constantly do. It really is.
It's a real job. I mean, of course, because of my work, I do know a lot of also of the bigger influencers. I know some of them quite well, and I see how much work it is, and I don't envy them, not at all.
Yeah.
And for the same reason, maybe this goes too much into another topic, but of course, I have discussions with clients about influencer marketing, and a lot of brands they're happy to send free products, but they don't want to pay influencers. And it's, I try to explain to them, look, they reach, in some cases, millions of people. If this was a TV ad, you would pay so much more money for a audience that isn't even as targeted as well as these influencers have been able to do it. And with a TV ad, like you just send it to the TV station and broadcasted it. So they broadcast it. An influencer needs to create it and they need to edit it. They need to go on these trips or whatever it is that they're doing, right? They have so many different rules and they have to do it day in, day out, whether they're in a good mood or not, whether they're, whatever is going on in their personal life, they have to do it. It is a real job. And again, I don't envy them at all.
Yeah, agreed with you.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Understood. It's kind of changed the marketing landscape also with the influencer marketing and creator, generated content. Tell us about one of your favorite writing experiences, a place, a trip, or a moment where it all just clicked and what made it unforgettable.
Oh man.
That's
you've done some cool journeys,
memories
man.
right there.
That's
awesome.
I watched some of your videos, man. You've done some really cool stuff. So
yeah, I think one of my favorite trips, probably at least from the more recent years, was 2 years ago, which actually started with a photo shoot for Revit. So for 2 days, I went back to my old modeling days and did a photo shoot with them in Norway. And it was incredibly cold, but so beautiful. Like it was, and the team, it was a small team, but so fun, and I had a really, really good time. And then from there, I went to Skook, which is like a small motorbike adventure event in Sweden. And my own motorbike was actually brought there because the photo shoot was with bikes that Revit had arranged. So got on my own bike after Skook, rode up to the North Cape. And that was pretty special. Like the last, I don't know how long it is, maybe the last 20 kilometers is like a one-way, with another one-way, but like it's one road going up, but you have to take the same road down. But there isn't much out there. And, I was just riding there on my own, coming from Spain, like the other side of the world.
Right.
We didn't even touch up on this, but sometime during all of what we just discussed, I moved from the Netherlands to Spain. That's right. That's right. Yep. So riding to North Cape was pretty special. The idea of being a woman alone with my Minute 700, what I was riding. That was good. And then from North Cape, I went to the Lofoten Islands, which is actually the place I've been wanting to go to for years. But there I had the most horrible weather you could imagine.
No.
So that wasn't as good as I was hoping. Yeah.
What did you do? Did you get stuck? Did you keep yourself away from the road?
It was really bad. Basically, I could get from one place to the next, then had to spend there 1 or 2 nights because it was just too dangerous to ride. Maybe then there was half a day where I could move on a little bit, take one ferry to the next island, waiting again for a day. It was not fun. It was very frustrating. It was not fun. But, it is what it is. I did feel, actually, literally, I felt stuck because you're at an island and you can't go anywhere.
Right.
But then, after that, at some point, I was able to make it back to the mainland. Again, had to wait out a snowstorm. And then the next day, I was like, it was raining and it was foggy, but it was safe to ride. So I figured I'm just going to keep riding until the sun shines. And that's what I did. And then the last part of that trip was absolutely beautiful. I really enjoyed that more southern part of Norway. It was very pretty. I actually knew a local there, so he gave me a lot of routes that I could ride. And then from there I went back to the Netherlands, hopped over to the UK for the ABR festival, back to the Netherlands.
Nice.
And then I drove down back to Spain. So that was a really nice one.
What a
But I'm
journey.
also very excited about the one that's coming up. I'm gonna go back up north, and then I'm gonna be joining what is called the Tenere Travel Trophy, and it's organized by Yamaha Benelux, and it's basically 150 Yamaha Tenere riders going
Nice.
it's gonna be really fun. We're starting in Denmark and then up to Sweden and Norway, so I'll be back there.
That's cool.
Very
Um,
cool.
yeah, and then again to the ABR festival in the UK, and then I'll take a ferry to the north of Spain and come back through the Pyrenees. So,
You do a lot of riding
Wow.
by yourself, correct?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
you kind of touched on a little bit, but I don't know if there might be others. Have you ever had this moment where it's like, what the hell am I doing here? Moments when you're on the road and you're looking around like going like, holy smokes, where am I? And where was it?
Um, I mean, never in a negative way, never in
cool.
a dangerous kind of way. Then again,
Good.
I mean, so far with the motorbike, I've always been in Europe, so it's not exactly a culture shock.
You
And
So not in that way.
plan your trips out, right? Like before you go anywhere, you kind of have destinations you're gonna hit.
It's not really.
Really?
For
What?
example, yeah, well, I don't know the exact roads that I'll take, and I don't know the timing. I don't book any accommodations ahead. Like in the
Got
morning, I
it.
kind of, yeah.
But you do have a
Um,
route planned, right? Somewhat of a route, like if you're gonna be
roughly,
here,
like,
where you going and stuff.
yeah, I mean, so for that trip last time, the goal was to go to the Lofoten Islands. And then as I was making my way up through Sweden, I was like, oh, Lofoten, North Cape. I mean, on the map, it looks pretty close to each other. Everyone who's been there knows it's not that close, but on the map, it looks pretty close.
Right.
Like, if I'm going up north there, may as well go to North Cape. But that's something I just and still, I was gonna let it depend on the weather forecast. So until a day before, I wasn't sure I was gonna go to North Cape. So it's kind of like that. And then this ABR festival in the UK is a big one where I always want to be every year. So if I have to be in the UK at that point, then yeah, that's kind of a point, of course, that I have to keep in mind.
What do you do when you go to these festivals in all these different areas? Do you bring your own bike or do you rent something up there? Like how do you get a chance to ride if you're going to a different country?
It depends. I mean, obviously now these events are also, I go for fun, but also a bit for work, of course. So sometimes I just fly in for the weekend and I don't actually ride. But now with ABR, yeah, I'll be riding my own motorbike over there.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what is your motive behind being so vocal about mental health, empowerment, and chasing freedom?
Wow. That is a good question. I don't know. Like I think I've always so my childhood wasn't actually that easy, and it wasn't. Parts of it were really great, but then also there were definitely some things that weren't great. And so from a young age, I had this sentence in mind, and I've always actually had it in my mind in English. And it's like the only thing that matters is being truly happy. And I think at a young age, I already understood that being happy doesn't mean like instant gratification. Like it doesn't mean chasing the shiny object. Like I was pretty well aware that it was being happy is like doing the things that are good for me,
Right.
that's like truly happy, not just but truly happy.
Yeah.
So that's always been something in the back of my mind, and I think a lot of the things that I do come back to that, like being out there on my motorbike, and especially in the mountains with this enormous views, makes me truly happy. But also, meeting other bikers who are like-minded people, like at the least you've got one thing in common, right?
That's right.
That makes me really happy. Like I truly enjoy that. Also, my work now, I really enjoy the clients that I work with at the moment. And it also, I mean, it makes me very proud. I work with some of the world's biggest brands or most well-known brands, which obviously, yeah, I'm very proud of. Well, my team and I, we did that, right? That makes me proud, feel good about myself, happy. And also the way I work, it gives me the freedom to travel with the motorbike, to kind of plan my own days, to to be able to do what I need to do again to be happy. So I think I didn't expect that question, but yeah, I think
We like the
think that's-
surprise.
yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What does success look like for you now, and how has it changed over the years?
I think honestly that goes back to that same question. For me, if I'm happy, and part of being happy for me is also just kind of feeling peaceful, I guess, and calm. When I feel that, I feel like I'm successful. Obviously part of that is being able to pay the bills, right? And being able to pay for my motorbike.
Absolutely.
So there's definitely, it would be very naive to say that there's nothing financial. Of course, there's a financial aspect to it. But yeah, for me, look, if I was making, I don't know, 10 times the amount of money I'm making now, and maybe working for even bigger brands or being more well known or whatnot, but it was stressful and I wasn't happy, or I wouldn't have time to do the things that make me happy, is that successful?
Right.
Yeah.
For me, it isn't. Yeah.
That's cool. That's a great answer. I agree with you. It's sometimes having it all. I mean, how many people do we know that have it all and aren't happy at all? And then it all goes back to the small things that do make us happy, and focus on those things, and your family, your close friends, being on two wheels. I mean, especially for you. Let me ask you this. I mean, you just had a knee. We were talking off air. You said you had a knee surgery, and you just kind of slowly just getting yourself back on the bike. You've been out of commission. You said you rode last weekend. Prior to that, when was the last time you rode?
It just to correct you, like I didn't actually have surgery. It was just an injury. But
Injury. Okay, sorry.
Well, yeah. So the injury happened at the start of the year, and then I think it was later in February that I got back on the bike once. It didn't feel great yet, but then a couple of days after, I kind of misstepped. My knee started hurting again, so I was kind of back to square one.
So I wanted to ask you, what's your, I think for the people who ride and who obviously listen to the show are either riders or enthusiasts, they understand that, kind of going back a little bit to some mental health stuff that Ben asked earlier, was sometimes when you feel the world is on your shoulders and you kind of jump on the bike and it all goes away, right? You have that moment of peace, of breathing fresh air, having the sunshine on you, and you're on two wheels, you're away from everything, no electronics, that type of stuff. Did you feel the pain a little bit between the injury and to finally, because I know it's important to you because you live your life like this. So you must have had a few months where you kind of a little bit more down than up.
Yeah, it was hard. It was difficult to keep myself in a good mood because I'm usually a pretty positive, optimistic person. But yeah, I couldn't ride my motorbike. I obviously, like I said, I love horse riding as well. Obviously, I couldn't ride horses either. I like to go for a hike out there in the mountains. Couldn't do that. I was actually at the time going through a pretty fresh breakup as well.
Man.
So I had to look really hard to find things to stay positive. Yeah, it was rough for sure. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, what did I do? I made sure that I stayed connected to my friends, and I had great friends coming over to my place, and yeah, I think that was the most important thing, because I mean, what else can you do if you can't really walk, you can't ride your motorbike? Yeah, no,
It would be
sucks.
nice if we can marry our motorcycles. You know, we'd have the best relationship in the world, man.
Yeah, yeah.
You've built a brand around riding and resilience. What do you hope to leave behind in the motorcycle and marketing world after you retire and ride away into the sunset?
Oh, I mean, how you guys ask questions, I actually have to think about it. This is great.
Well, we don't want to make this easy on you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love it. It's good. I find the question, what do I want to leave behind? I find it quite difficult.
But you're 37. You
What
still
I
got a career ahead of you. Though.
yeah. I think what I would hope to see, and that's not so much because of my doing, but just in general, it's a bit cliche, but I do hope to see more women in the motorcycle industry, whether it's working or just riding for their own fun. I think that would be really cool.
Definitely.
Yeah.
In the States, the numbers for women getting their motorcycle license has been increasing like almost 20% every single year.
Wow.
So it's great to see, that more females are coming into this. I love it. I love seeing women on motorcycles. I think it's so cool that it's not just so dominated by one. I think everybody needs to enjoy it. Doesn't matter who the heck you are. Looking back at your journey so far, you went from modeling to motorcycles to open up your own business. What would you tell your younger Thalassa, who was just starting out and unsure of the road ahead?
I think really just follow your gut instinct. I think if people just take a moment to really listen to themselves and to really take a moment to see how they actually feel, I think we know a lot more than we think we know,
right,
in terms of what's good for us, what we want, what's the right path. Obviously, I think a lot of young kids right now, they get influenced by so many outside forces. Obviously with social media and I don't know, all those kind of things. I could imagine that it's, that makes it harder to actually understand what it is that you really want. Again, what it is that makes you happy, right? Same thing. Going back to that decision whether I wanted to go to Milan or go to university. Milan would have been the cool thing to do, right? Being a fashion model in Italy. Wow.
Right.
If I would have followed outside pressure, that's what I would have done. But, luckily I realized that wasn't the right thing for me, probably. So yeah, I think just really listen to the voice within, I guess.
Yeah, that's great advice. I love that, man. You think about it looking back, right? How many young women in that situation would have probably taken the Milan road, right? Because of what it offered, right? The glamour, the lifestyle and everything else. And you decided to go against it and you felt it wasn't the right thing for you. So that's awesome. Where can people find you, follow your journey? What social media platforms are you? I know you're not huge self-independent promotion. You're doing mainly promoting your business, which is awesome. We do the same thing, but where can people follow your journey and kind of keep in touch with you if they need anything?
Yeah, so that motorbike Instagram account does still exist. I do still update it sometimes. When I go on that next trip, I'll definitely post stories there. So that's @NoHighways on Instagram.
Yep.
And for the agency, it's motorcycle.marketing. Well, I actually had to think about that. Motorcycle.marketing, and also on Instagram at motorcycle.marketing, and on LinkedIn as well.
Okay, awesome. All right, kiddo, you made it through the questions. Now we're going to have a little fun with you. I'm going to do a 15 question speed round. Just get into your humorous and funny side. So see who you are on the outside of the world. So, all right, you ready to go?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. What's
2
your
minutes
go-to?
on the clock.
All right, let's do it. What's your go-to coffee order to kickstart the day?
Café con leche, coffee with milk, basically.
Okay, nice. First word that comes to your mind when you hear motorcycle.
Freedom.
Nice.
Passion, freedom. Yeah.
Okay. Best motorcycle you've ever owned or ridden?
Either my first love, the R6, or my current bike, the Tenere 700.
Okay, nice. What song that always makes you what song always makes your playlist when you go on a road trip?
Oof.
Do you have that one song that you got to hear? Or
Not
band?
really.
About or band?
Yeah, no, not even that. I feel bad. I made my own Spotify playlist that I often put on, but it's so diverse. There's this one Catalan song on there.
Cool.
There is like probably boy bands from the early 2000s
Yeah,
to like country
That's what Ben
music.
listens to too, so he could share your.
Yeah, Serge introduced me to him.
All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Bucket list ride still to do.
Alaska.
Alaska, nice.
Sweet.
Have you been to the States?
To the States, yes.
Where?
Never by motorbike though.
Never by motorbike.
I've been to like the area around Los Angeles, and I've been to Florida.
Okay, cool. One thing people would be surprised to learn about you.
Well, people that meet me, on a random in a bar or something, they're surprised to hear that I ride motorbikes.
Okay, all right,
for
that's
sure.
cool. What's your guilty pleasure when you're off the clock?
Like really bad TV series on Netflix, probably.
All right, good one. Instagram post or in the moment, no phone kind of girl?
Oh, if I'm not working, definitely in the moment, no phone.
Okay, cool. If you could have dinner with someone, dead or alive, who would it be?
Yeah, I knew this question was coming, didn't I?
You had time to prepare.
I prepared you.
No.
And if you
no.
if you say Rossi, we're officially retiring his name from the podcast.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be Rossi. Oh no. I honestly don't know, man. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, no, the thing, like, I don't really have these. Well, okay, I can give you the type of person. I would really love to have dinner with someone who has their own marketing company, but who is, let's say, 10 years ahead of where I am right now.
Excellent
I wouldn't know
answer.
who that person is, but that is someone I would really love to have dinner
pick their
with.
brain. I got you.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest DM you've ever got? Because I'm asking because you're pretty, but in addition to your motorcycle girl and you do this, so I'm sure some lunatic has reached out, not in a sexual way, but like a silly DM.
Yeah, because I think at this point any woman on Instagram has received a dick pic.
Really?
But
Damn.
I think so.
Through
Yeah.
God.
Well,
damn,
or
people are
whatever
sick.
way they find this, but all my friends, as far as I know, have received them at one point or another.
Yeah.
Lots of guys do too, if that makes you feel any better.
Really?
I know lots of guys in the fitness industry, and they get them too.
Right.
That is freaking disgusting, man. I'm sorry.
It is.
That is just, you got to be fucking off your rocker. All right. Sunrise or sunset ride?
I think sunrise. I'm a morning person.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you could swap lives with any rider or builder for a day, who would it be? Who's your favorite
If it's
racer
just
now?
so, like after I left the races, I
Kind of
kind of like I
stopped
still
following it.
follow it a little bit, but not that much anymore. And I'm now way more into the ADV scene. Like I said earlier, I don't envy any of these people, but if it's just for one day, then itchy boots, normally.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
Yeah.
What do you do to just unplug and reset?
Kind of the things I mentioned before, like it's either obviously motorbike riding or just being around my horses or going for a hike in the mountains.
Cool. One word you'd use to describe your life right now.
Fantastic.
Oh,
Nice.
awesome.
I'm really
all-
happy at the moment.
All
Yeah.
right,
That's
good,
excellent.
good. That's great to hear. All right, last question. Finish this sentence. When in doubt, I always.
Go with my gut.
That's it.
That's good. You
Solid.
did it.
Man.
I think you might have set the record for answering the questions. So
Yeah,
Really?
probably
within
didn't
the
make
2
a deal
minutes,
this
I don't
time.
know. People usually drag with these things. You kick butt. So
Oh yeah, I thought that was the point.
It
No?
is, yeah.
Quick
That's what's funny.
questions? Okay.
we've had like 8-10 minute 15 round
Okay.
question answer.
Well, this
So-
answer is going to be a little bit longer. It all started when I was 7 years old.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, but in all sincerity, thank you so much for taking the time coming on our show, and
Yeah.
it's been so awesome to get to know you. You got 2 big fans here in Florida, and if you ever
Yep.
come back to Florida, you let us know. Okay, I've got a couple of motorcycles. We'll take you on an awesome trip down here somewhere. So we got our contact information. So always stay in touch and keep kicking butt. All right.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I'll probably take you up on that.
All right. You got a deal.
Excellent. Thank you, Thalassa. We appreciate
Thank
you.
you guys.
Have a great day.
You too.